اللهم صل على الحبيب محمد يا ربي صل عليه وسلم.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين، والصلاة والسلام على سيدنا محمد خاتم النبيين وإمام المرسلين. اللهم صل وسلم وبارك وأنعم على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين ومن تبعهم بإحسان إلى يوم الدين. اللهم إني أعوذ بك أن أضل أو أضل أو أزل أو أزل أو أظلم أو أظلم أو أجهل أو يجهل عليه. So very early in the morning to talk about a subject that most people are not well awake for. You look awake, but are you? But it's good. There's not a lot of people except these blinding lights. Anyways, I'm gonna, because we only have 20 minutes, it's practically impossible to deal with everything that I would like to address and to even, tackle the subject in 20 minutes. So what I'm gonna do is just throw ideas. A lot of this may sound like incomplete thoughts. Please forgive me and blame Al-Medina Institute for that. And secondly, I am Canadian, and I was told that we have a very lengthy way of reasoning because we're too nice and we don't like to get straight to the point. So, having said that, I'm going to tell you a couple of stories because they highlight this issue of doubt and where it comes from. And these stories happened to me. And this issue of doubt coming from external sources that are surrounding us in the general milieu, and from internal sources that is from the Muslim community. From external sources, this is the first story. I'm finishing my PhD this term. I have over the summer I was going to take a sabbatical, just a summer sabbatical. And so I went to the Center for Study of Religion and Society at our university. And I said I wanted to get a fellowship just to write a paper, something to do with the Islamic tradition. And I went to the director and I told him, I'm classically trained in the Islamic tradition, meaning I don't have the academic credentials that you guys have. I have teachers I sat with, I studied texts. So he said to me, well, this classical training that you talk about, for us we call it theological training, which for us we don't view as rigorous enough. And I said to him, well, that's interesting because we don't view you as rigorous enough. I've read your papers and books, they're not rigorous. But nevertheless, I would still like to pursue this. And he said, well, one of our fundamental assumptions that you have to accept when you come in here is you have to disregard your notion of the Quran being the revealed and perfect word of God. I said to him, that's interesting. What does the Quran, what I believe about it or disbelieve about it, have anything to do with the research I would like to do? I'm a scientist. When I do the experiment and I come up with the data from the experiment, it doesn't matter how I feel about the data. It doesn't matter if I like the data, if I dislike the data, if I want to hug the data. It doesn't matter. The data is the data, and you just have to account for it somehow and explain your hypothesis. And if it doesn't make sense, you adjust your hypothesis to explain the data or change it completely and then go forward from there. So the Quran, to me, the way I approach it, it's a piece of data. It doesn't matter how I feel about it. I have to account for it as I go forward from here. This piece of data has interpretive limitations. Arabic language, the Sunnah. We have certain sources that limit how far you can push this piece of data in your interpretive methodology. He still couldn't get it. He's like, I'm still skeptical. We need to have several conversations to understand this. But let's talk. Now, this highlights an issue which actually explains a lot of these articles you guys see every couple of months about some woman writing about, oh, I looked into it, the hijab is not really, it's just a social construct, it's this and that. When you take into account that the Quran is not revelation, what he's telling me is that you have to disregard the notion that people could actually genuinely be following commandments from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You have to basically enter into a deconstructive narrative and methodology to explain why would people do certain things. So for him, the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ is not really a prophet. He was a product of the general environment that he was in, He was a product of a social status that he was part of, and his approach to everything basically generated this thing that we call Islam. And every scholar that writes about Islam, every scholar that came up with theological treatises, fiqh, all of that are just social and political constructs. And all you got to do is historicize it.
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, alhamdulillahi rabbil alamin, ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, malik yawmiddin, iyyaka na'budu wa iyyaka nasta'in, ihdinas siratal mustaqim, siratal ladzina an'amta alaihim ghayril maghdubi alaihim waladdallin. Amen. The English translation of that is, in the name of Allah, most gracious, the most compassionate, the most merciful. All praises is for God, Lord of all the worlds, the most compassionate, most merciful, master of their judgment. You alone we worship, and you alone we ask for help. Guide us along the straight path, the path of those who you have blessed, not those you are displeased with, or those who are astray. Amen. And with that, I welcome you to another episode of the History, Community Life, Diversity, most Americans in New England. But first, before we get into our various subjects today, I'd like to take time to send out my deepest condolence to the 41st President of the United States, and that was George Herbert Bush. Okay, and his family. All my deepest sympathies go out towards his family, friends, and all the folks that supported Bush in his ascent to presidency. So once again, my deepest condolences, sympathies go out to the Bush family and all of the supporters of Bush, okay, etc., etc. And also, I'd like to send out my deepest sympathies and condolences for all those folks up in Alaska that just experienced a 7-point-something earthquake on the Richter scale, and a lot of property was damaged. So all those folks that were directly and indirectly affected by the earthquake last week up in Hawaii, I send out my deepest condolences to all those folks, okay? I'm Hasson Rashid, and this is the History, Community Life, and Diversity of most Americans in New England. And once again, you know, I always say it's excellent being here with you. That's awful great achievement to come in your lives like we do here daily at the CCTV. I just found out that the Black Star TV Productions latest documentary entitled No Lie, An American Beauty will be aired pretty soon right here at CCTV. I think as early as this week. So keep your eyes out for this documentary. That's No Lie, American Beauty. excuse me, yeah, the American Beauty Story, No Lie, and it's a production by Blackstar TV production company. So keep your eye out for that one, okay? You know, according to the Islamic calendar, also known as the Hijra calendar, this month is known as Rabi Awal, you know? So there, there are different months with their own significance respectively. Rabi Awal is the third month in the Islamic calendar. Okay, and in Arabic, the word Rabi means spring, while Awal means the first. So right now, in the Islamic world, it is the third month of the year. Rabi Awal, okay? Hence, Rabi Awal as a whole translates into the first spring. Since Rabi Awal is a month of the lunar calendar, it can come in any season. Therefore, the name Rabi Awal depicts symbolic significance as it symbolizes the advent of happiness, spring, after the dismal winter, and not the actual season of spring. Rabi Awal is named as such because before the Prophet Muhammad, may his soul rest in peace, was born, people were living in a state of ignorance and darkness. They were engaged in worshiping different deities. The people were deviating from the path of Allah. As the Prophet Muhammad, may his soul rest in peace, was born, he brought with him the message of the truth, the message of Allah and oneness of Allah. This message led the people towards the path of enlightenment, helping them distinguish between right and wrong. Therefore, the month signifies more regard in that sense. We all know that Hazrat Muhammad, peace be on him, is the epitome of perfection. He is the role model chosen for us by Allah. And we are to follow the Sunnah in order to lead an ideal life, which is not only defined to us by religion, but is in fact beneficial for all mankind if we know where to follow it. Okay, so there has certainly been for you in the Messenger of Allah an excellent pattern for anyone whose hope is in Allah in the last day and who remembers Allah often. So the month of Rabi Awal holds special significance as Muslims believe that the Holy Prophet, peace be on him, was also born in this month. Although there is no consensus on the actual date, Muslims often celebrate it on the 12th, Rabi Awal, terming the date as Eid Milad an-Nabi. The birth of Prophet Muhammad, peace be on him, is celebrated with a lot of enthusiasm by many Muslims all over the world, whereas there are some who don't celebrate it but simply pay their respects. A lot of Muslims also hold Milad through the month in remembrance of the Prophet Muhammad. Okay, so that's all I wanted to share with you concerning this month, this current period of time that we're living in. It's Islamic world. It's the third month. It's the third month of the Islamic calendar. Okay, so okay, okay. I'd like to share with you another little known fact about Muslims. Okay, Keith Ellison. Now he's from out of Minnesota, and he was the I think the first or the second Muslim to serve in Congress. Okay, well, anyway, he retired from his post as a congressman from Minnesota, Democrat from Minnesota, and he ran for Attorney General of Minnesota. So he won. He won that race. So I got a little story here I want to share with you about that. Keith Ellison narrowly defeated Republican Doug Wardlow to become Minnesota's next Attorney General after a bit of campaign rocked by allegations of abuse from the congressman's ex-girlfriend. With 94% of the precincts reporting Ellison led Wardlow, a former state legislator, by more than 100,000 votes. We never thought this was in the bag, and it was a dogfight from the very beginning, Ellison told supporters in Minnesota. There were challenges along the way, and we just kept on pushing. Ellison, the first Muslim to win election to statewide office, jumped into the race just 5 months ago after incumbent Lori Swanson launched an unsuccessful campaign for governor, leader of the Congressional Progressive Caucus. Okay, so congratulations to Muslim brother Keith Ellison, who has just been has just won the race, been appointed the Attorney General of Minnesota. Okay, U.S. Okay, that's the acronym for the U.S. Commission on International Religious Freedom. Okay, that's I can't pronounce it, but it's acronym US CIRF, and it's stands for U.S. Commission on International Religion. Presses for target sanctions for atrocities committed against Burma's Rohingya Muslims and other religious and ethnic communities. So, call comes day for University of the site of the UN Genocide Convention. Okay, the United States Commission on International Religious Freedom today called on the U.S. government and the international community to pursue strong policy responses, including the continued use of targeted sanctions to hold accountable members of Burma's military security forces and some non-state actors for severe human rights and religious freedom violations against Burma Rohingya Muslims and other religious ethnic communities. These abuses against Rohingya and others include Buddhists, Hindus, and Christians, as well as ethnic Kachin. Sean Karen have been committed, and in some cases continue to be committed for decades, largely with impunity. I told you about 3 years ago about the atrocities against the Burmese or Myanmar Muslims, and they had the word from even Aung San Lee, I think that's her name. She came to Harvard about last year before last. She's the president of Burma and Myanmar, and she was locked up in jail, incarcerated for being outspoken against the government. She came out of jail and she became the president, and she came to Harvard and promised that she would do everything she could do in her power to end the atrocities against the Burmese Muslims, and to no avail. I just read this, and it's still going on. That's the atrocities against Burmese Muslims. It hasn't let up yet. So what you can do, you can contact your elected officials, federal elected officials, state, etc., and tell them to do something about all these different abuses against Muslim people in that part of the Asian continent. That's Myanmar. It's name change from Burma. So, okay, I want to bring that to your attention. The Boston Islamic Seminary is excited to announce their 2019 courses in addition to their continued education courses. This semester, they'll be offering 2 classes from their Islamic Foundation certificate, as well as launching 3 levels of Quranic Arabic courses. If you have any questions about their continuing education courses and the Foundation certificate, please contact their continuing education coordinator, Sister Haja Kamara, at Haja@Boston Islamic Seminary.org. Once again, that's Haja@Boston Islamic Seminary.org. Okay. Spring course listing. Okay, so you're invited to register today. That's the Islamic Boston Islamic Seminary. Okay, so I'll give you some idea of what these courses are all about. Introduction to Islamic System with Dr. Beshayuni Nila. He used to be the E-man over here at the ISB on Prospect Street. Now he's an instructor at Boston Islamic Seminary. Introduction to the Science of Quran and Hadith. Dr. Suhail Lahar. Conflict Analysis and Resolution with Dr. Amir Abdullah. Contemporary Islamic Thought with Dr. Erwin Sinanovich. Okay, History of Muslim Societies, 1258 CE with Ustad Abdul Rahman Latif. Arabic courses with Ustad Adnan Rahman with Dr. Safia Zalu, Dr. Carl Sharif El-Tabqi. For more information and registration, visit Boston Islamic Seminary.org. Okay, so that's where you can find all the information on the course offerings at the Boston Islamic Center. Once again, that contact information is www.bostonislamicseminary.org. Okay, and they're located Boston Islamic Seminary, 100 Malcolm X Boulevard, Boston, Massachusetts. Once again, that's they're located. Their mailing address is Boston Islamic Seminary, 100 Malcolm X Boulevard, Boston, Massachusetts, 02120. Okay, getting back to elections, Muslims in the elections in the United States, okay? Muslims have experienced more success this past year than any year in the elections here, the whole electoral process here in the United States. Democrat Rashida Tlaib Ilham Omar became the first Muslim woman elected to Congress on November 6 in the U.S. midterm general elections, which included a number of historic firsts. Sharice David, Deborah Haaland are the first Native American women to be elected to Congress. Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez became the youngest woman ever elected to Congress, and while Gerard Polis was elected to be the first openly gay male governor. More Muslims ran for office in the midterms than at any time since September 11 terrorist attacks 2001, according to Jetpack. Jetpack now was the Muslim, a Muslim political organization that was formed right here in Cambridge. The past city councilman Nadeem Mazen had something to do with organizing that group. Well, anyway, according to Jetpack, a group dedicated to increasing Muslim involvement in U.S. politics, Jetpack estimated that 128 Muslims ran in the 2018 election at all levels of government, from very local precinct captains to national senators and congressmen. Okay, Tlaib and Omar are joined by fellow Democrat Indiana Congressman Andy Carson, who was re-elected, taking the total tally of Muslim Congress to 3, the highest ever. Carson was the second Muslim to be elected to Congress, following Keith Ellison of Minnesota. Okay, so congratulations to all those folks that were successful in obtaining electoral positions in the electoral process. Okay, okay, I got a few more things I want to share with you, but also want to get back to the opening video, which was a video on early Islamic science and how all this stuff affects Muslims today. And the brother was from out of Canada. He was the brother was doing the presentation. He's from out of Canada, and he was a PhD student in Canada, and he was explaining some of his encounters with certain conflicts with the Holy Quran. That's the Muslim book. That's the Muslim book I read from every day that we open this broadcast. Okay, so I want to get back to him, but I also want to tell you a few things. Well, if we have time, if time permits. Well, there's a few things that's happening right here at CCTV before we go off the air, and I meant to do this right at the beginning. There's still courses that you can take before the year's out right here at CCTV. You can pre-register. You can contact Clota Drummy at clota@cctvcambridge.org, or you can call 617-401-4005 to register. Now, let me tell you about some of these courses that are still offered in December. Okay, if I can find one. Okay, here's one. There's a course entitled Introduction to Virtual Reality, and this course is free. And it starts Thursday, December 13th, 6 to 8 p.m. In this Intro to VR workshop, virtual reality, you experience virtual worlds as you've never seen them before. Travel to the tip of Mount Everest or the deepest ocean floor, all from the comfort of the CCTV classroom. Okay, there's another one on December 16th from 3 to 4, and it's entitled Build Your Own Air Persona. And this is also free too. These are seminar workshops. None of these classes have prerequisites. You do not need a production contract. Okay, building your on-air personality free. Sunday, December 16th, 3 to 4. CCTV live shows are a great way to have your voice heard by talking to a camera for 27-57 minutes can be challenging. Where do you look? What happens if you run out of stuff to say? How do you present the best you? Learn all these answers and more in this free class taught by Will Kurtz-Salon, TV, CCTV, cablecasting, and live show host, instructor. So I was just putting the emphasis on classes still being offered here in the month of December, the last month of the year at CCTV. So if you're interested in taking some courses, there's all kind of courses. There's free courses, paid courses. So if you like information on these courses, you can contact Clodagh Drummy, Clodagh at cctcambridge.org, 617-401-4005 to register. You know, I'm Hasson Rashid, and once again, I'd like to remind you that No Lie, an American Story, produced by the documentary produced by the Blockstar TV production company, and they were the people who produced the documentary on Martin Luther King Sr. In the Hour of Chaos, and this is their second, I guess, effort at documentary filming video. Okay, so they'll be coming soon here. No Lie, look out for that American Beauty Story. Okay, that'll probably be a greater production than the last one. Okay, so that's Blockstar Music Television, and be on the lookout for that. Okay, I'd like to get back to that video to close out the broadcast, but before I do that, I'd like to tell you that it's always excellent being here with you, and it's such a great achievement to come to your lives to do. And so I leave you as I came with the International Universal extension of peace out to you. So peace be unto you in the Arabic language, ISLAMIC.
It and explain it that way, and then when you come in here, now you have an explanation for where all these reformist movements are coming from. Even Muslims that enter into Islamic studies in the West, if they're not aware of these general assumptions and presumptions that are being forced upon them in the general curriculum, they actually start to behave, not that they believe it, but they behave as if the Quran is not actually revelation anymore. That God no longer has anything to say about anything. And so this is what you get from, their arguments.